Today on Can Haz Armory, getting through the control line with a minimum of fuss, both on your side and the folks way behind you in line. Okay, so let's say you're a new fencer and you are on your way to your first event, might be a regional, actually frequently has been a regional recently, and you don't know what to do when you get there. You don't know how to get through the control line. More importantly, you don't know how to get through the control line and not slow things down. There are things you can do to make it easier on yourself, the folks behind you, and if everybody follows it when you're in line, it won't slow things down. So here's what you do. First off is you cannot put your roll bag or any bag in front of the table. So you can't walk up to the table, put your stuff down, unzip the bag, because it's a fire hazard, it's a tripping hazard. In case there's an emergency, people tripping on it are going to pile up and cause an issue. So fire marshals do not like that. This is a fire marshal rule, so it's not really open to debate. At a recent national event, fire marshal almost shut the event down, got that close to doing so because there was a bag issue. And they solved the issue, fire marshal backed off. Don't test the fire marshal on this issue. If the armors tell you put the bag someplace else and then put your gear out, do that. What we tend to tell folks is against a back wall that's away from the walkway or in the bag drop rooms if they are ones, and bring your gear up to us then. What we want you to bring to us. This is the display they have at national events. Shows what to bring to control. Your minimum is 1 mask, 2 body cords, 2 mask cords if you use them, 1 lame, 1 glove. We allow 2 masks, 3 mask cords, 3 body cords, 2 lames, and 2 gloves. So you have spares if you have. You don't have to have 2 lames. Some people do have spares. Some have a couple of different spares. The reason we limit the number is because if you bring up, 8 body cords, we test them all, and there's a line behind you, that slows things down. It used to be in the old days, you could tell who the junior member of the team was because they're the ones that come up with 5 masks, 14 body cords, 6 or 7 lames, and they're gonna go home early on. The guys who are gonna go on are gonna need that stuff and they're warming up. We stopped doing it years ago because it slows stuff down. If there is nobody in line and you bring 8 cords, we'll check them. That's not a problem. It's just if there's a line, because if you've ever been to a big event, you have no idea how long the line gets. I worked at Nationals a few years ago. The line started, this is what we call day 0, which is setup day, not second day of setup, and it's the day before the first actual event day. And the line went about 150 feet back, straight out from the table, and stabilized and stayed there for 3 hours. We had people cycling through, 8 armors going as fast as we could, and the line didn't move. The back stayed there. And it took a while for it to start creeping toward us. And we got out of there about 9 o'clock, I think, maybe later. So anything you do to speed the process up helps a great deal. By the same token, if you do stuff that takes time at the table, it slows stuff down. And if you take 10 seconds to undo extra 3 body cords, that's not 30 seconds. It's probably by the time we get back in the line, it's an hour if more people do it because it cascades. So let's talk about how you bring your stuff up. Number 1, everything out of the bag, all at the same time. Kids, please, when we say bring all of your body cords, we do mean all your body cords at the same time. Don't stop listening when you hear body cords. I have a rest of the statement going on. I've had kids put the bag about 20 feet away and they make separate trips to get each body cord. I tell them all the cords at the same time. And it's irritating, it slows things down. They're not listening. Bring all the gear you get checked at the same time. Bring more. If you bring 8 body cords, you only test 3, we'll get you 3 good ones, and you can bring the rest back later when the line's down. How you present the gear is also important. Most of us have a test pad in front of us, that's to test the lame stuff, and a test box to the side. Don't just drop it on top of that pad. You do that, I'm gonna go move it. That's my workspace, right? And it's not my job to make sure piling through your stuff. Have your stuff ready to go when you get there. That means lames off of the hanger, zipped all the way up as if you're wearing it, and right side out. I have had lemais presented wrong side out. It immediately fails. The reason the hanger needs to be off is that it interferes with the motion of the probe. The reason it needs to be zipped up all the way is because, especially on ultralight lemais, the probe tends to move the material around. And really, really light lemais, it, instead of gliding over it, shoves to the side. We can't test everything properly. So please, off the hangers, zipped up all the way as if you were wearing it, right side out. Body cords. You are allowed to present the body cord to the armor wound up. The problem that is that not everybody's box is set up the same. Some have the test ports this far apart, some have this far apart. I prefer the cords to be unwound, not only because I can reach the ports easier, but also if you have a brand new body cord, it's gonna be a tight package and I can't get the parts there. If I got things wrapped around and the alligator clips under 4 wraps of cable, I can't test that. So I'm gonna ask you to unwind it for me. If it's got a tie wrap on it that's holding the whole thing shut, I know it's brand new, and I definitely need to unwind it because it's gonna be technically illegal because there's not 40 centimeters of free A-line cable. I see it all the time. So how do you give me the cord? You could give it this way, tied up. If it's an epi cord, that's fine. The foil cord though, actually first epi cords too, when you come to the table, have your cords already unwound, and all of them gripped on your shoulder like this. So you get to the table when it's time for the cords, take a cord off, hand it to the armor. As I'm checking that, take the next one off. They hand you the good one back after chunking it, hand the next one. Anything you make the job go faster is good. Mask cords do not have to have them clipped together. Some armorers prefer that, some armorers don't. I prefer not to. I feel I do a better test when they're separate. But that's a very, very specific armorer thing. When you are done as you're being tested, start gathering stuff up. Because as soon as you're done, we want you gone, get the next guy in line. So do not, let's see the last thing you test is the body cord. Then take your cords, standing at the table, you're all tested, and stand there, taking your time, winding them up, okay? That's only about maybe 10 seconds, probably less, but if you do have all your cords, it adds up. Grab your stuff, take it aside, wrap it up out of the line. This is why, for example, I tend to ask for the mask first, because it's a carrying case. You test everything else, shove it in there, go aside, find a place, then you can wrap it, put it back on the hanger, or whatever you want to do. But we want you to spend the minimum amount of time in front of us so we can get people through the line faster. Do we take some time? Yes. Sometimes we'll take time if it's a brand new fencer. It's going to regional, it's my first ever tournament, happens all the time. And we'll sit there if we can, and we'll explain as we're doing it what we're doing so the parents understand what's going on. That way they know what to do. Something else. And this is probably a regional thing, especially in Southern California. If you're a kid fencer, you have a parent that comes to the table and does not speak good English, doesn't understand English, that causes a problem for us because it's hard to communicate. In SoCal, it tends to be the Chinese and the Koreans more often than not, and the Russians, Ukrainians to a slightly less degree. Kid sends parent up. Parent doesn't speak or understand English very well, and I get it because you're going from a tonal language to English, which is notoriously difficult at the best of times, and we can't communicate with them. And the kid's not there. The kid may be warming up, might be messing around with his friends. If your parent does not speak good English, please be with them if you can, translate, or make sure you know what to do beforehand. Have them watch this video and explain, this is what you need to do. Here's what you're taking up. So when you get there, if I ask for the mask, they may understand the word, hand the mask. If I do this to the lemay, they understand what that means. Anything you do to help. Now, do they learn? Yes. I've had a ton of parents I've seen a bunch of times who still don't speak English very well, but they know what's expected of them. They walk up, mask, boom, 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 boom. They've been through it. It's the first timers that are the issue because they still don't understand what's going on. You need to make sure they know. So be there, translate for them, understand that I speak no Mandarin or Cantonese. I can barely speak English at times. Help us out here. If you speak good English, and I know the kids typically bilingual, please translate for your parent or advise them beforehand, this is what to do. This is what the guys are looking for. The faster you get them through, the better. And especially if you have an event with a lot of Asians, if a bunch of Asians don't speak English, it really slows stuff down. We got to get them through quickly, especially if it's the event day. If you're up first, if it's 8 o'clock start and you're there at 7:45, we got to get people through, and we're going to rush you through as fast as we can. Communication helps. So that's what happens at events, to do check-in, get through the control line quickly. Anything you can do to speed the process, even for a couple of seconds, helps immensely. Helps you, helps us, helps folks in line behind you. Happy armoring.